Hello, my name is Maria and I'm the Creative Italian, and welcome to my YouTube channel. Today I'm going to be sharing with you how to make these wonderful half moon earrings that I made with silver wire and hematite beads. But before I get started, if this is your very first time being on my channel here, if you will give me a thumbs up if you like any of my videos, it would really help me grow my channel, and YouTube will let more people know that I'm here, people that might be looking for what I have to offer. Also, if you want to be notified when I upload a new shorts or a new video, just hit the subscribe button down below. If you have any questions, if you need any help with a project, or you have any comments, you can leave them in the comments section also below. And I usually respond 99% of the time within 24 hours. It's very rare that it's longer than that. YouTube does send me a notification when you leave a comment or a question. I get it right away. There have been 2 situations where I never got notification, and just last week I was checking my YouTube channel and looking over some things, and I found 2 people that had asked me questions months ago, and I never got any notification in that. But I did take care of it and let them know, what had happened. So just know, that that's how I handle questions and comments, because I'm here to help people, and I want to be able to respond as quickly as possible. So anyway, let's go ahead and get started. Now, I will leave a list of all the supplies that I'm going to be using for this tutorial. So it'll be down below. And also links to my Etsy and Pinterest and Instagram channel are also down below as well. So anyway, let's go ahead and get started. Let me show you what we're going to be doing, okay? Okay, so here are the tools that I'm using. I'm using 18 gauge copper wire, 24 gauge parawire, 3mm hematite beads, and some fishhook ear wires. Just like that. They're copper as well. And I've got a ruler. 6-step jump ring bail making pliers by Beadsmith. These are wonderful if you want even, consistent loops, and nylon pliers, wire cutters. If you want even loops and with your project, you want to be sure you got them, that's the tool to use. Otherwise, you can use round nose pliers. That's okay too. A mandrel or anything round that you have around the house that you can use to wrap the wire around. It doesn't have to be a mandrel. I'm sure there's plenty of things around your house that are handy that you can use. A jar or a cup, or, lots of different things. Okay, so also I'm going to be using a rubber mandrel, and I'm using a rubber hammer actually to create some texture in my wire, plus to harden it just a little bit. Now, I happen to like this because I like the texture that it creates, but also you can use a chasing hammer if you don't want the texture and you want to harden your wire. Okay, and then of course I got a bench block. So let's see here. Okay, so I'm going to take my wire and roll it off the spool and use my nylon pliers to make it as straight as possible before I cut it off. I'm actually going to be using 8 inches of wire. I'm cutting 2 pieces. 1 piece I've already cut, actually. You could use any length of wire that you want, but I am using, I'm cutting 8 inches, and it makes about a 3-inch length half moon earring. All right, now I'm going to take my wire and, as close as I can, get it even through the top. Doesn't have to be perfect because I'm going to be cutting some of this wire off. So I'm just cutting some of that off after I get done with this part of the project. So anyway, I'm taking my needle point pliers and making a bend on the very end. It's going to just a narrow, not a point, but I'm just narrowing that end somewhat, because that's going to be the bottom shape of the half moon. Now, normally I don't do both together when I'm working with 18 gauge wire. I just thought I'd try it while I was doing this video, but honestly, it's a little easier to do the bending if I'm using 20 gauge wire and I'm doing this when I'm doing two pieces together. But I thought I'd give it a try. Okay, now I'm going to go on the outside and squeeze that bend in just a little bit more with my needlepoint pliers here. And so that's what it looks like, you guys. It looks just like that. And I'm going to bend it in just a little bit more because it's not quite as close as I want it to be. And that's because I did the two pieces together. So it really is better to do it individually when you're working with 18 or 16 gauge wire, I feel like. I'll just squeeze that in just a little bit more. So there you go. That's the way it's supposed to look. So now I'm going to take these and straighten the wire out so it's not overlapping each other, so they don't cross over. I want it to be straight before I wrap them around the mandrel. There you go. Sometimes those nylon pliers come in so handy. Oh my goodness. They really help with the, smoothing out those bends and kinks and whatever. So it looks just like that before I wrap it around the mandrel. Okay, so I have my mandrel marked, so I'm going to be wrapping each one individually up at the top there at that first mark right there. That way I know that each one will be exactly the same size. Now as I wrap it around, the ends are going to kind of stick up a little bit, but I want it to have a bend to it all the way around the circumference of the piece. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my rubber mandrel and just hammer that down. And sometimes the other end will need it too. It doesn't hurt to do the other end. If you want to, you could just do both ends and it'll be okay. So that's how that works, just like that. Okay? And then I've got the other one. I'll do the same thing. I'm going to use the same exact mark on my mandrel that I used on the first piece because I want them both to be the same exact size. Just like that. And again, those pieces are going to not wrap all the way around, especially when you're using heavier gauge wire like 18 and 16 and whatever. They're going to want to stick up. So I'm going to take my rubber mallet and just hammer that in so I get a nice curve consistently all the way through. Okay? So now this is where the magic begins or starts. I just take those pieces at the top and pull them away from each other, and there I've got a half moon. I just love how that works. I've seen people do other half moons. I tell you what, on YouTube. But this is my most favorite way of doing it. It's just so easy and simple. Okay, now that longer piece, I'm going to cut that so that it's an inch longer than the other piece. But before I do that, I'm going to go ahead and do my rubber hammer and harden the wire really good. And I'd like to do it on both sides because I want the piece to lay flat. I don't want any of it buckling or popping up or whatever. And sometimes that happens, when I'm making these wire shapes. So I want everything to just be nice and flat and and just easier to, it just looks better, number one, and it's easier to do the wrapping, and the whole finish of the earring looks better. So there you go. Everything's nice and flat. Okay, on the short oh no, I'm going to go ahead and cut that long piece off. And I just want it 1 inch beyond the other end, just like that, right there. Because that's going to be a loop there, and it's going to go through the loop on the other end. So give yourself about 1 inch, 3/4 of an inch, something like that. Just like that. Now on this end is where I'm going to create a loop. I'm going to use my 6-step jump ring bail making pliers by Bead Smith to do that. And I'm going to make a loop, but I'm going to do the loop so that it's actually bending towards the wide curve of my half moon. Oh, yeah, you know, you could use these as well if you wanted to, the round nose pliers. Those are also really great to use. Okay, so, like I said, I'm going to bend that in so it faces the outer curve, the outer curve of my half moon. Just bend it straight in. I'm bending it away from me. And there you go, real simple. And I need for all my loops to be even, so that's the other reason I'm using that tool. There you go, just like that. And I'm going to keep it open so that I can easily wrap the beads around the wire. The other reason that I do the texture or harden the wire so it does create a little bit more texture is I find that when I'm wrapping the wire with the beads tend to not slip and slide all over the place, especially if there's texture on the wire. Like when I'm wrapping, they just stay right there in place. Whereas in the past, when I've tried to wrap and I didn't do that, it was hard to keep things from flipping on the under part of the wire and flipping to the side. And whereas this way, I want the beads to ride the outer edge of the shape. So this is just a guarantee that it'll do it. Okay, so on that opposite end of the para wire, I cut about double the length of what I need of the 24-inch para wire. And I made a few loops on the very end right here so that as I'm wrapping the beads around the wire, the beads aren't flying off the opposite end of the wire. Okay, I'm just going to make sure I told you right on these beads. Yeah, they are 3mm. That's what I thought. Okay. So anyway, I start loading these on. So for this 3-inch shape, there's about 23mm beads. 20, 21. I forgot something. Okay, I'm looking for my magnifiers. Where are they? I can put them on without them, but it takes me longer. There they are. They're on the floor. Sorry about that, you guys. There they are. I need those. Got to put these on. Got to get those beads on there faster. Otherwise it'll take me forever and I'll start dropping them. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and load those all in. I load everything on that I think I might need and maybe a little bit more. Okay, so I've got all my beads on here. And now I'm going to start wrapping around where the loop is. I'm going to start wrapping around the top of the loop there. And it's great to have an opening like this because it makes it so much easier to wrap rather than having to pull it through a hole or whatever. Makes it so much easier. So I'm going to take that and I'm going to give it about 4 wraps up there at the top of the loop. Keep trying to keep it just as tight as I can. Just like so. You all can see why I need my magnifiers, right? There you go. That's how it looks, you guys. And of course, I'll cut that tail off. I'm going to leave it for right now, but just so you know. Just like that. Okay. Now, I am using 1 wrap in between each bead. I'm pretty sure that's what I'm doing. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring the bead up to the edge and hold on to it with my thumb, and then wrap the wire around one time. I think that's what I did on the other pair. Was it just one time? Yeah, it was just one time. Sometimes I'll do 2 wraps in between, but not on these. Okay, so what I do is once I wrap it around, I bring the next bead up to the top edge of the wire right here, and I hold on to that bead. Whatever bead I'm getting ready to wrap, I hold on to that bead. And see, it makes it nice and smooth and even. They're not rolling around and wrapping around and dangling on the other side. And believe me, those are the things that happened to me when I was learning how to do this. It looks easy, but it can be a little bit of a challenge. So I'm just sharing with you some of the things I've done. That just makes it easier for you. Okay, so I'm going to wrap it around again. One time. Towards me, away from me, and then up. Like so. Then bring the next bead up, and I make sure I hold on to that bead pretty tight. Because I find that when I hold on to it tight, I can also wrap it tight, and things stay very stable and secure. And it just has a nice finish to it. Just like that. I just keep doing the same thing as I go on down the line here. It just makes it just so much better, you guys, doing it this way. It really does. Okay, so again, I'm going to bring the next bead up, and I'm just working down, holding on to it, wrapping it around. Sometimes it kind of gets caught there just a little bit. Just hanging on to it right there, wrapping it around, bringing the bead up, and hanging on to the bead. So I stay tight on whatever bead that I'm wire wrapping at that moment, just like that. Okay, so I'm now going to go ahead and cut off that long piece right there, because you don't need that, and then just going to press that in real good with my needlepoint pliers so it doesn't stick out. Sometimes I could see it. Sometimes I can't see it, but I can feel it, so I'd use the needlepoint pliers to get that in. Press that wire in really good. Okay, now this other wire, I'm going to straighten that loop out just a little bit. Okay, now the other wire, this one, I'm going to make a loop, and I'm going to bend it towards me using the 6-step jump ring bail making pliers, and it's going to slip into that other loop right there. So all I'm going to do is just put it in there, wrap it away from me using the same size as what I used for that one. It's really secure doing it this way. I'm going to roll away from me, I'm sorry. I'm going to roll away from me. There you go, just like that. And I'm also going to keep it open just a little bit because I got to slip it through the other hole, so I don't want to completely close it up, but close it up 3/4 of the way anyway. Just enough so I barely have an opening to slide into the other hole. Yeah, just like that. It'll slip right in. Opening right there. And now I'm just going to take it and just pop that in there. Just pop it in just like that. And now I'm going to take my needlepoint pliers and close up the hole. Make it real secure. I've tried it different ways, and for me, this seems to be the best way, is to slip it through that hole, as opposed to, making the loop so it's next to the other loop, but in between the bead and the loop. It's okay to do it that way, but I find it to be more secure doing it this way. That's just my experience so far, you know, doing this. So anyway, it just seems to work. Yep. So yeah, I suggest you give it a try like that. I think you'll be really happy. And so my fishhook ear hook is going to go in the same hole. So everything works together. It just keeps it cleaner looking to me. There you go. There's my fishhook ear wire. I called it a hook, but it's an ear wire. Now I'm just going to open that up with my needle point pliers and then slide it through the hole. Just like that. Simple, easy breezy. There you go. Okay, so there you go, you guys. I just measured these, and I use 8 inches of wire, and these measure out about 3 inches in height. I didn't measure the width, but anyway, just in case you might want to know that, okay? So I hope you give it a try, and I appreciate you coming to my channel and watching. Again, if you like any of my videos, it would really help me grow my channel if you give it a thumbs up. And if you want to be notified when I have a new video uploaded, just hit the subscribe button. And again, if you have questions, comments, please leave it in the comments below. A list of the tools I use will also be listed down there above the comments. And I do respond to people in 20, my hair keeps getting in my eyelash. Anyway, I do respond quickly, I do. So anyway, come on back and check out my channel again, and thanks for watching. Alrighty, bye-bye.